Well, hey now. Welcome to Fitz's Electric Bar. Fitz here, and I have a couple stacks of records here I'm going to go through, which are relatively recent purchases. I might have covered off or touched on a few of these records recently, but I think most of these I haven't really talked about. These are records that I've got probably mostly in the last 4 to 6 weeks. I have been on a bit of a buying frenzy. I keep telling myself I got to slow down. I actually want to do a video that relates to why I buy and looking at kind of what motivates me to purchase, especially when I look at something that I bought and it's just sort of sitting there and it's like, okay, I feel like I needed to own this, but if I'm not playing it, why did I feel like I needed to own it? But you know, this records are tactile and they're fun to hold and have and own and that kind of stuff, but it's interesting. So I'm going to, look at some records here that I've been listening to. Some of them I have acquired and haven't really given a solid listen to, and some of them I have, and we'll just go from there. A couple artists that I always feel are very similar in tone in the jazz idiom and that I really like, and when I'm in a particular mood I usually will grab one of these two, and that's Bill Evans and the sound he gets on the piano, the kind of beauty that he is able to create, and Chet Baker similarly on trumpet and vocals. So Record Store Day, I wasn't able to get the vinyl. I wasn't there in time, as it were, before it sold out, but I picked this up on CD. So Bill Evans Treasures. Really nice record. I'm looking forward to diving deeper into this, but 3 configurations on the 2 CDs. One is just Bill Evans solo, another one is part of a trio, and the third one is with an orchestra. So Bill Evans. And then the one that I also got on Record Store Day that I was able to get on vinyl is Chet Baker's Blue Room, and I really enjoy this because it's late career Chet Baker. I've mentioned how much I enjoy his late career stuff. Let's Get Lost, The Last Great Concert, Volume 1, Volume 2. There's something about towards the end of his life where I think that his playing had a certain poignancy, and I don't think it's specific that he was close to death or that there's a macabre kind of appreciation before he died. It's rather that I think that there's a depth, a kind of a wisdom and a sadness to his playing, and that may be just me projecting onto what I think it is, but I just love late career Chet. This is Blue Room, Record Store Day. So this was disc number 3 or release number 3000, copy number 3000 out of 5000. Right off the bat, the first song, Beautiful Black Eyes. 9 Minutes of Gold. This is just a lovely record to put on in the morning in particular and kind of ease into your day. I do play music a lot, and so, you know, as you know, time goes on and I get older, I'm more interested in stuff that really sets I guess I'm more beautiful or a calmer mode. I'm not necessarily getting up and putting on UK subs every morning. That's a little more here and there. Another recording that I got recently from Audiopile, which is my record store, local record store, is this particular release. I don't know anything about this, called Unknown Mobile, I think is the moniker. The artist, I believe, is Levi Bruce. And electronic, maybe sampled stuff. But I came into the store and I heard this one track. I think it was a second track on side B, Onology. And it sounded sort of familiar. I don't know if it was sounded like it was almost like an Eno track or something like that, Brian Eno track. But I really love the sound of it. Not the first time I've walked into Audiopile and said, what's playing, and then gone and bought the record based on 1 or 2 songs. I did that with Pole as well recently. Anyways, very, very nice record. No vocals. Again, something that is great that you can read to or just sit and enjoy. I've been getting a lot of Neil Young stuff. This is quite interesting, really, because as many of you know, if you're a Neil fan, Chrome 2 came out, Chrome Dreams 2 came out, I don't know, many years ago. And this one was the great long lost record. Many of the songs appeared elsewhere, some of them in different forms, but some of them just exactly as is. And But as a real devout Neil Young fan, it is enjoyable to hear what was intended to be the release with all of these songs together, and Neil's recordings and his releases, have their own kind of quality to them. So it's kind of neat to see them all grouped together. It does really feel like it fits well together as a piece. And so this is enjoyable. I'm really enjoying it. Double record. And yeah, it's got Too Far Gone, Star of Bethlehem, Like a Hurricane, Sedan Delivery. So some of the stuff off of Freedom, some of the stuff off of Comes a Time. And I think some of the stuff, if I'm not mistaken, off of maybe Stars and Bars, and maybe also Hawks and Doves, perhaps. I'm not sure. But really, and maybe Homegrown as well. I think Homegrown's on here. Homegrown ended up, I think, on American Stars and Bars as well. There we go, Chrome Dreams. Another one that I've been meaning to get, so it's the Aphex Twin Greatest Hits. I don't really know them very well, and I haven't given this a deep listen. I just love Extal, the first song on side A. That's always been an incredible track, and this seemed to be a fairly good price, so I thought I would purchase this, and again, something that I'm looking forward to getting into maybe in the winter. Been going through a real Eels interest, and this one is such a great record, Blinking Lights and Other Revelations. So this is, I guess, the cheaper version. I think there was a higher end version. This is sort of a cheaper version, but it's still the box set of outtakes and things like that. So there are 4 records in here, I believe. No, 3 records, I guess. And a nice little booklet as well. Anyways, this is something I'm still diving into, but very, very nice record. Eels. Friend of mine, Dean, if you're watching, you were the first one to turn me on to Kikagaku Moyo, the Japanese psychedelic band. It's a really cool album, nice little obi, beautiful visuals, it really, I think, does a good job of visually representing what the band sounds like. And I had the good fortune of seeing them, I think twice, maybe 3 times. Just a phenomenal live band. They claim to have wrapped up their as a band, that they're no longer. But last fall, I guess I saw them and really, really enjoyed them. This is to me, this is a wonderful record, has a real journey to it. Just a great little journey in terms of the sounds, the production, the songwriting. It gets really quiet and little sitar stuff, and then they really rock out. And that was really true when I saw them live, was just how how much of a blast they could create on stage. Real fun bunch of guys. Watch them perform. A very dynamic group. Another group that I enjoyed many years ago, kind of forgot about, and just learned that they have a new record out. Now, this is still new to me, so I don't really have much to comment on, but The Clientele. I believe the history with these guys is that some of them are American, some of them are British, but I think they ply their trade in England. Some kind of nice looking vinyl. Again, I'm not all about purchasing the vinyl based on what it looks like, I'm happy with black most of the time, but every once in a while something kind of, that's cool. And this is called I Am Not There Anymore, and this is just a new release from The Clientele. These guys always make me feel like their music is from the past, sort of 70s British folk rock. And I say that with compliment. It really is it's got a quality to it. Now, this record, from my early listenings, does feel like it's got a little bit more of electronics, and it's doesn't have kind of that real 70s Brit folk pop kind of sound that I would say was part of their previous releases. So I'm looking forward to getting more into this. It seems like there's a move forward and a little bit of a change. Always loved the opening track off of this, the Horace Silver Quintet song for my father. And of course, famously, that song for my father, the very beginning, has been used by Steely Dan for Ricky Don't Lose That Number. But lovely sounding record, Horace Silver Quintet. And yeah. Another person who I've been talking about on this channel that I seem to have a real crazy infatuation with, and I don't know what it is, but Misha Panfilov. This particular record is the Misha Panfilov septet called Gala. And I think I heard about them through Audiopile. And I started to, often they'll recommend artists. And I love this, because in the old days it was like, you'd get it from, I don't know, Melody Maker or something like that, or Rolling Stone would mention an artist, and then you just have to go up and buy it or listen to it on the radio. But they had recommended this release or one of his releases, and I started streaming it and just immediately was really taken. A bit jazzy, a bit funky, and a bit rock. I've talked about Misha Panfilov before, but I just feel like I need to acquire all of his stuff. He's like Daniel Romano, not musically, but just one of those artists over the last few years that I've become somewhat obsessed with. Bought some 7-inch singles of his work as well. But Misha Panfilov, very lo-fi in terms of the look of the band, and also even the recordings. They're not high-end quality recordings, but the sound, the way that the band plays together is really great, and I just really enjoy everything he does. This was another one that I was waiting for it to get re-released. Very quiet record, The Sea Will Outlive Us. This is almost like it's like black and white photocopy paper, but I mean the cover is decent stock, but you can kind of see it's just like a picture that's been kind of pasted onto a cardboard album cover, and it's just a photocopy, but it works for me. It looks kind of from the old days. Speaking of Steely Dan, but not Ricky Don't Lose That Number, but I finally gave in. This is not an audiophile recording, but I've never been an active Steely Dan fan. Well, that's not really true. In first year university, we played Asia an awful lot, and I really enjoyed it. But I was listening to This Sonic Obsession and John and Steve, and it was funny how Steve really loves Steely Dan, and John feels that Steely Dan is soulless. And I totally understand that, because I think for a long time I kind of felt that way too. This for me is a purchase of nostalgia. So, just remembering on the radio, Dirty Work and Reelin' in the Years and things like that. So when I put this on, there's no question that it's kind of a nostalgic thing, and I enjoy the sound, but I'm kind of in the middle of John and Steve. In some ways I feel like they're kind of soulless, but they do, they're just beautiful sound, beautiful production, and some really catchy hooks, so hard to deny that. And finally, another one that I've got that I had, I think on CD, but XX, I really, the tone of this, I'm going to do a video at some point called like Tone and Vibe, but this to me is a vibe record. This whole thing has got, drenched in reverb and echo. It's generally very quiet, really nice sort of electronic stuff. You know what it really reminds me of is a modern version of Young Marble Giants. Young Marble Giants had a little more edge to it. And more kind of like basic electronics, or maybe the electronics that were available in that time. But this particular record is very charming and does have a consistent tone that I really love. So there's that. And then I got a couple Mobile Fidelity things. I kind of embarrassed to say that probably the third version of this that I got, but I've heard that the Miles Davis Mobile Fidelity releases are really high quality. This is one of my top 3 or 4 Miles Davis records, along with Ascenseur and Kind of Blue. And what else would I say? I'm missing one, but I love this record. I love this record. So I just thought I'm going to invest in a Mobile Fidelity version. I'm not one to do shootouts or to do comparisons. I've played it once or twice, and it sounds really good, and it's a record that always sounds good. But I got that. The other one that I absolutely love and I used when I bought my new stereo about a year and a half ago, but I had an SACD version of this. I needed to get this on vinyl, and Mobile Fidelity just released this one, the Jerry Garcia, David Grisman. And I love this. The Thrill Is Gone. That particular track is the guitar work in that, the production on it. It just always sends shivers down my spine. It is so spectacular. And you listen to this and the song separation. I don't know how to use the terms like soundstage and detail. I'm a neophyte at that. But this just sounds so great. And you can just hear, the mandolin of David Grisman and the guitar of Jerry Garcia, and it's lovely, just a lovely record. And I would highly recommend this to anybody who has any interest in Americana or slight interest in bluegrass, any of that kind of stuff, to give this a go, because this is just a great record. I think this is numbered, but I don't even know what the numbers really mean because they were out of print for a long time. And so this is number 6988. I'm assuming that they can just do another whole run, but that's okay. I'm not looking for this as an investment. This is just, I'm so glad to have this on vinyl, and it really does sound great. But the SACD sounded great too. So, and finally, another Bill Evans purchase. So some other time, I was really drawn almost by the title track. I have to say that, I have a funeral playlist of stuff that I'd like to play, and maybe some of it's a bit maudlin and some of it's kind of funny, and I want some Ramones at my funeral. Take note, bro. My brother, who will probably be the one who plays it if he's around longer than I am. But some other time, the piano work on that, it's weird, like even with no vocals, and he did do a recording, Bill Evans did, with Tony Bennett, which is beautiful. But along with Peace, some other time, just an instrumental that can pretty much bring tears to my eyes at any point in time. I love it. So this is a sort of a deluxe, got a nice booklet with it as well. I'm not going to go through that all, but the verdict's still out on this. I don't know in terms of what I feel about all of this. But when it became available and I assumed that there wasn't going to be a lot of it, I just picked it up, and maybe it's like a false limited supply kind of thing, but I needed to get that. So Bill Evans, some other time. So that's some stuff that I've been buying and listening to lately, and carpe diem, motherfuckers. We'll see you soon.